In Kin, HBO stays true to the original story with some minor changes to help develop the characters and further the story along. Just like other episodes, this is a very emotional one and leaves us with a cliffhanger. We start off with the scene of Henry's death. I believe HBO does this to remind the audience the state of mind that Ellie and Joel are in the last time we saw them. We are now 3 months later after this incident. It is winter, we are in the forest, and I can only assume we're very close to getting to Wyoming. Joel and Ellie arrive to a cabin and they're looking for information on their exact location. I really love the addition of the husband and wife and their dynamic, and it gives the audience some comedic relief after that very emotional last episode. This couple has been isolated from the world even before the outbreak occurred. Joel asks for the best route west, and the man advises against it and says to go east. He advises them to not go near the river because they have seen nothing but death there. We then see the fear in Joel's face. As Joel and Ellie make their way out, we see that Joel starts to have a panic attack. I think this panic attack is triggered by the fact that Joel feels all this pressure to find Tommy. There might be a chance they won't even make it out alive, and the fact that he might be putting Ellie in danger. As it gets dark, they set up camp near the river. As they sit by the fire, Ellie asks Joel, "What are we gonna do once all of this is over?" Joel questions her and says, "We?" And Ellie then changes her response, but we can see that Ellie does want to stay with Joel after all of this because she does feel safe with him. We are then met with a very long pause, and we can see in Ellie's face that she seems a little bit worried. Ellie then proceeds to ask Joel, "It will work, right?" She then confesses to Joel that she knew Sam was infected and she tried rubbing some of her blood into his bite because she wanted to save him, but obviously it didn't work. We then get to the following morning where we see Joel mumbling in sleep and then is awoken by his dream. I can only infer that he's still dreaming about the night that he lost Sarah and he's still haunted by this memory, but honestly I could be totally wrong. Joel and Ellie are then headed off to find Tommy. Did you guys see the small editing error that HBO made? As Ellie and Joel walk across the bridge, if you look at the bottom left of your screen, you will see some of the film crew there. If you go back and watch the episode, it's no longer there because someone pointed out their mistakes. We see some parallels to the game at this point of the episode. Joel and Ellie arrive to the hydroelectric power plant. Like the game, Joel states he has no idea how it works. As they continue walking, Ellie points out that the water is very blue. What if this is the river of death? And then they're surrounded by men on horses pointing guns at them. They bring out their dog, and this dog can smell if you're infected or not. This dog looks very similar to the dog in the game, Buckley, and I do appreciate they left this small little detail in there. As the dog smells Joel, he is clear and good to go, but as the dog is slowly walking towards Ellie, we can see that Joel is having another panic attack. We can feel the tension because we know that Ellie has been bitten twice and in the first episode has scanned as positive. Luckily, the dog does not smell anything on her and is completely fine. You can see Joel's face is shocked and a little relieved. They then ask Joel what he's doing out there and he says looking for his brother. The lady on the horse then asks for his name and then we see them riding into a city. Okay, so let's take a moment really fast to discuss the difference between the game and the show at this time point. When Joel and Ellie arrive to the hydroelectric power plant, as they arrive to the gate, this is where Joel and Ellie meet Maria and her men. Tommy then stops Maria and her men from shooting Joel and Ellie because he sees Joel. In the game, we never actually arrive to Jackson City and we spend the majority of our time with Tommy at the power plant. I love that in the show we are actually taken to Jackson City and get to witness how it actually looks. The reunion between Tommy and Joel, seeing them slowly walk towards each other and the huge embrace was very emotional. We do see a little sadness in Ellie's face. I think Ellie's a little sad because she knows that she's getting closer to parting ways with Joel, and as she previously stated, she's afraid of being alone. As they're eating, we kind of sense some tension between Maria and Joel. As they're talking about the dead bodies they leave behind, Tommy says a bad reputation doesn't always mean you're bad. And Maria then turns and stares at Joel and says, not always, at least. You can tell that Maria does not like Joel at all. Joel then tells Maria that it would be nice if only family was there. And then it got even more awkward because then Tommy tells Joel, Maria's actually my wife. Joel's face was priceless. We then get a small Easter egg. As they're eating, there's a girl staring at Ellie and the girl runs off. Some people say that this girl is Dina from The Last of Us Part 2. At this point, Tommy and Joel leave to catch up. Tommy asks about Tess and Ellie and Joel decides to lie. Joel then confronts Tommy about how he stopped being on the radio. The confrontation between the two then leads to Tommy telling Joel that Maria and him are expecting. Joel does not react the way that most people would react to this news, quite the opposite. The way that Joel Joel reacted upset Tommy, and Tommy returns and says the most hurtful thing: just because life stopped for you doesn't mean it has to stop for me. This upset Joel very much, and he told Tommy that they're leaving first thing in the morning. As he makes his way outside, Joel starts to have another panic attack. As he looks up, he sees the back of a head, what appears to be Sarah. He sees the woman with the little girl, and you can see Joel's eyes has a little bit of hope. That might be Sarah. As he slowly takes a few steps closer, the woman turns around and he sees that it is definitely not Sarah. In this moment, he realizes that he has truly been stuck in the sadness of losing Sarah. We then move on to the scene where Ellie has her epic outfit change. We see this outfit in the game. She makes her way across the street to Tommy and Maria's house. As she walks in, she sees two names written on a chalkboard on top of the fireplace. We know that Sarah is Joel's daughter, but we can assume that Kevin is Maria's son. This is the first time that Ellie finds out about Sarah and kind of understands why Joel is the way he is towards her. After the confrontation with Tommy, Joel secludes himself from everyone. Tommy finds him in the workshop and they begin to talk. This is one of the two most emotional parts of the episode. Joel finally tells Tommy the truth about Ellie. He confesses that he's been having panic attacks, he freezes up in the moment, he's not as fast as he used to be, so he is not the best person to protect her. I believe Joel feels this way because he has grown so close to Ellie that he is so afraid he's going to end up in a similar situation that he did with Sarah, and that broke him almost entirely the first time. He tells Tommy about his dreams, how he doesn't remember them, but he has this sense of failing or losing something, and it's the worst feeling ever. In the show, we see that Joel is a lot more emotional. The reason why there's a larger emotional aspect in the show is we don't have infected or other altercations breaking up the conversations. So we get to the most emotional part of the episode. As Joel gets to the house to talk to Ellie, we see that these scenes are very similar to the game. Ellie is reading the diary and making very similar comments. Ellie then asks him if he's here to talk to her about ditching her. You can see how heartbroken Ellie is and brings up that she's not Sarah, and this really upsets Joel. This scene is perfectly executed and you can feel the emotion between the two. You can feel how heartbroken Ellie is and tells Joel that she will not be safer with Tommy, she would just be scared. You can then kind of feel how Joel is trying to distance himself from Ellie because he thinks that this is best for her, but in all honesty it's best for him because he no longer has someone that's relying on him. He doesn't have that pressure of making sure she doesn't die. The next morning, Ellie's sitting there waiting for Tommy to pick her up so they can head out. As they get to the stables, we see that Joel is getting the horse ready and Ellie asks, "Are you here to say goodbye or something?" Joel then tells her that she should have a choice, but he thinks she's better off with Tommy, and immediately she chooses Joel. Joel and Tommy say their goodbyes and they're headed off to find the Fireflies, just like in the game. We see Joel and Ellie's relationship grow. You can see that she's getting a lot more comfortable with him and really does trust him. As they arrive to the university, we see a lot more parallels to the game. Joel tells Ellie that he actually wants to be a singer. We then see the scene with the monkeys, and this is the first time that Ellie sees a monkey. As they're walking into the building, they're very hopeful that the Fireflies are in there. But just like in the game, they packed up and left to Salt Lake City. People show up and start fighting with Joel and Ellie. Joel doesn't fall off the building and land on a metal rod, but instead is fighting outside with a man and gets stabbed with a wooden bat. Joel then pulls out the piece of bat and starts bleeding all over the place. We are all shocked and worried about what's going to happen next. Joel and Ellie ride as fast as they can as more people arrived. As they're riding along the train tracks, Joel falls off the horse and passes out. She's pleading with him, saying, "Please don't leave me." What a way to end the episode. We can see how worried and scared Ellie is of being alone. We have no idea if Joel will survive. How can someone survive losing that much blood in the apocalypse? Let me know down in the comments what you thought about this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more content like this. We'll be back with episode 7 breakdown.